Yeah, I'll call it. I was making meeting director. Approve the minutes from the previous meeting. So move. Second. And none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thanks for the agenda items that are probably.
This gentleman was here, he's also number 4, so I don't know if you want to do it all at once or.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Discussion, 533, on highway E.
Let's see here. Tom asked me to get this on the agenda that, property owners wanted to come in and discuss drainage issues, on County Road E. This has been ongoing for a lot of years. I think John spent a lot of time. I got John Groth, our road superintendent here. He spent a lot of time down on this section of road down here. And I don't know if you want to let the residents start and we can kind of go from there.
Go ahead. All right. Yeah, John knows the history, but when I moved out there, the water from the west side, my side, drained across the culvert, joined the water from the east side, drained across this property that's with neighbors now owned, and we're into a second property and into the woods and disappeared. So water problem solved. When Split Gabers bought the property, they closed the waterway, the water closed the ditch.
Did you define that waterway?
It was basically just the ditch across private property.
Was it a swale? Swale. That's what we
I guess it was. All I know is they went across their property and went into the woods behind the property. Interesting, the guy running the bulldozer that closed it came across and saw me in the yard. He came across and apologized for doing it. He said he tried to talk him out of doing it because he knew what was going to happen. John came out, talked to Split Gamer, trying to get him to open him back up. They said no. He tried to talk to the neighbors in the south to let it go into the woods across his property because his house was set way back. He said no. The DNR was contacted about whether they had any authority, open stream or whatever. They said they didn't. So at that point, the water either sat in Split Gamer's ditch a little bit of the ditch to the south, or it sat on my side of the road. Nowhere else to go. I'm going to point out that the ditch on both sides of the road, the water drained from the north to the ditch on both sides, and it drained from the south to the culvert on both sides. So other than traveling across private property, the water had no place to go. So when they blocked this swale, nowhere to go except back onto my barnyard. And that's the way it stayed for all these years. In recent years, the guy to the south dumped a load of dirt right at the edge of his property into the ditch, which of course is illegal. He didn't want the water anywhere on front of his property. And the Split Gabers have been filling their ditch in slowly in an attempt to back even more water up onto my barnyard. And Bob is right. I've made calls here, talked to John, trying to get the issue resolved. I figured at least they could, contain what little water that ended up in front of their houses, but they're unwilling to do even that much. And fortunately, I made the right number of copies. Didn't know how many were on the committee. this is what my barnyard looks like. When we get a heavy rain. I don't think it's going to be out anymore. By the way, when John,
It's okay. That's okay. That's copy of it.
when John came out while this was all going on, at first we was asking water flow. He pointed out to me that the ditch on the east side, on the split gable side, is actually supposed to flow north. He said that culvert under Split Gable's driveway was too high for that to happen. And he said if Split Gable's ever requested a new culvert, he was going to make sure it was dug in deep enough so the ditch could be dug out so it flowed north. And for some reason, it didn't occur to me that this committee ought to have the power to just dig the ditch out. And that's why I'm here. I'm asking you to go out there, dig the ditch out so it actually flows north, lower Split Gable's culvert so that it can accommodate that fact and get the water out of my barnyard. Because right now it makes no sense. The ditch on the east flows both directions to the culvert. The ditch on the west flows both directions to the culvert. So the water has no place to go but to back up into my barnyard. And that's what it looks like. Fills half my round pen. I can't use my facilities for about a week at a time after I do
John? First question, now you're referring to water that is in the county voltage, right?
Yep.
Okay. And the other issue where the swale was filled in, I would remind Bob, there are laws that regulate what is called a natural water course. In other words, you can't block a natural water course. That would not be a DNR issue, that would be a county or a town.
All I can tell you is John did
Well, you gotta do a lot of research to find out if that was a natural water course. There's all kinds of maps available. So that would be a lot. Are you saying just cleaning the ditch alone will alleviate the problem?
You know, it actually has to be redug because if you go out there and look right now from their driveway down to the culvert, it slants toward the culvert. So you would have to dig out that ditch the opposite direction. Right now, the ditch is dug so it slants toward the culvert.
And also you're referring to people, neighbors, I assume, filling in the ditch?
Yeah.
Filling in a county ditch?
Yeah, the guy to the south actually don't blow the dirt on his property line.
So the water wouldn't flow through.
So it wouldn't go anywhere. It's supposed to flow toward the culvert, but apparently didn't want any water flowing in his direction at all. So he dumped a load of dirt on. And the Split Gablers, which are right across, apparently don't want any water sitting in front of their house either. So they've been slowly filling it in. They put sod from a flower bed in the ditch. Very carefully, I watched them do it. They carried it, discreetly. They carried it down and placed it in the bottom of the ditch. And this sounds ridiculous, but Todd Split Gabler, when he mows his front lawn, mows it, and then he goes back and blows all the grass to the bottom of the ditch. And in 1 year's time, it amounts to 10 wheelbarrows full of material. So after a few years, he's going to pretty much push the water back on my side, but he's trying to fill it in. Not as blatantly as dumping dirt in it, but he's trying to fill it.
So you've had John out there and John has evaluated this? Would that be correct?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for your.
I believe 3 years, that white marker, is that a culvert that goes underneath the road?
That's where the culvert is. That's why the water backs up. It's supposed to
be playing that way, then across.
That's the way it always has been. I'm sorry. It would cross to the east and then flow across private property.
And that's the way the original Harley plan showed. You can notice it better on page right there. That's two, that's one I brought.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Right there. White mark.
Well, yeah.
This is the highway plan, when it was built, you can see the flow here on the edge of the thing, which you can see.
So you've got elevations on here?
Not on this, no. Alright, this is the cross culvert. This is an old house barn here. This where it says woods would be where split gavers. So this, here's an arrow showing the drainage on both sides of the road coming toward the cross culvert. And then there's a set of arrows here that show both coming to the cross culvert. I have a 2003 photo, I believe it was, which out of all a series of photos I looked at, this one shows it best where the water came across the road. Here's where the cross culvert is, and then it kind of snakes through this little grass waterway. Other years, this doesn't even show up as anything. It's dry. But, 5 years ago, this must have been 5 years ago, I spoke with the guy that owns this residence to south. Initially, he was okay with us cutting through this back slope. It kind of comes uphill, but there's little cows back in here where we can take it in the woods. And then, once he thought about it for a while, he said, no, I don't want anything to do with it. Then I contacted Split Gaver, and right off the bat, he didn't want anything to do with it. Pretty much still chaotic.
What can we do with that?
I contacted Terry Rowe at the time, spoke with Ron Bond from Nepioskan at the time, and they all told me it was a civil matter that he had to sue them in order to get the water drainage open through their property. The original plan, I shot grades here to see if this water could be cut to the north on Split Gaver side, and you'd have to cut a 3-foot ditch to get a 0.5% grade, which is fair, it'll work, but it's flat, but a 3-foot front slope, in addition to what's already there, you're gonna have at least a 6 feet. Oh, probably 2.5 feet, maybe.
You'd have to cut it a foot deeper.
Oh, yeah, well, another 3 feet.
Oh, another 3 foot, creating a 5 foot.
Yeah, you'd have a foot there at the end of the road. That's the problem, taking it to the north. And the split point is like another 1,000 feet down the road where the drainage way breaks. So that would just get it another 500 feet down the road. When this first came up, we had actually ditched in front of Split Gavers just to create some storage capacity. We cleaned it all out so the water police equalize there, but like Ken's photo show, there's nowhere for it to go until it gets high enough. And Split Gaver has a mound all the way along the front of the highway here. On this parcel it's a mound system. There's no way, unless you go around it, there's no way to get the water through there. So if he did it, was forced to cut it, probably have to be right at the south limits of his Split Gaver's parcel.
The land and water bill does?
Well, my recommendation to the committee would be to get a hold of Mary Ellen and review the natural water course law, I believe chapter 88, if I recall, and see what we can do with it from there. However, when you get into private property, there are laws, but enforcement of it, how you do that gets far more complicated, obviously. We could request Land and Water look in it to do that evaluation, but they wouldn't do the enforcement side. That's really not our function, unless it really got kind of a nasty thing. We had some farmland preservation issues where we would have that authority. Other than that, I think it might be advisable. I'd get old Chad and look into it and review his findings to Mary Ann and see whether we have any legal recourse. Obviously, the only option you got is to get that swale cleaned out again, right? So, and why did the person do that? Aesthetics, so it could mow the lawn easier?
I have no idea why they pulled those.
Was it eroding?
I think it was built on system.
Well, the driver of the bulldozer didn't seem to think we needed to go to the mound system. It would have been off the end of the mound system. I think maybe we probably started one. They've done. I think they've got a yard shed out there on that in the yard now. They don't seem to want any water going across the yard. They don't want that water.
How close is it to its home?
The ditch for the soil.
The swale that was there.
What would you say, I'm lousy at distances, but 15 feet, 16 feet from the end, I don't, it's been so long ago, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, because I'm looking playing devil's advocate. I mean, he's gonna argue with flooding my basement.
Excuse me, what I said.
Photos here.
Camera doesn't right though.
Right to his home.
Getting more water on.
That's what I thought.
Land than what. Third or whatever.
Is there a way to divert this and create a swale somewhere
I mean,
else?
there is a county ditch that goes underneath the road there, so.
Right up there. Okay, and then the elevation back here drops off.
Exactly. There's little kettles back in there. All potholes.
That would be the only avenue I could suggest, and you'd have to work with, the homeowner here, because obviously, as he just indicated, the swale actually went right where his house.
And that's where,
House he eliminated the swale, which is logical, that's what people are gonna do. But when you got a flooding issue, the next question, can you divert that swale in a way that would be acceptable? Try to alleviate your problem.
Especially like, I don't know if you heard, but I just said, you got a county hole.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, you're getting all the drainage right into your,
Right into my barn,
right into your barn, yeah.
4 neighbors in the county highway, and up my barn.
I think that would be my thought.
you know,
We're gonna have Chad, if you're gonna talk to Chad. I'll have Chad get a hold of Bob. Kind of.
I mean, situations like this where, when somebody comes for an access permit to build a house, we only have say of what, as far as their driveway access.
Yeah, that's all.
Anything that's on there is, town and, whether it's, county zoning or local town. We have no say on what that part of that. So that's where it's hard for us is, they come for a permit to get an access.
So what does the town say about it?
Never asked them. I haven't been to them because I was relying on what Don said about the ditch we dug out, commented on the 3-foot depth.
The Bob suggests, Wilma Bob's not there anymore, but that, Bob suggests, I believe that's, they have assumed they want to be done.
Yeah. I think that very well.
Yeah, Kerry's not gonna step into this, kind of pretty on the outside of planning and zoning department, deal more with, statutory reference would be Van Water Conservation. So we'll get a hold of Chad, and I'll have him call you, we can get the detail if you want. See what he thinks, and the most critical part will be determine whether indeed that is an apt natural water course. That's a very important part of that. You'll look at it.
If it's not, I know you have to rip the whole road out, but anyway, that culvert can. Culvert going right into the barnyard too.
We would have to, obviously shoot all those grades and,
Yeah, it's, the culvert actually,
That's our problem.
if the water can't go through the culvert, then it's gonna stay on my side anymore from all property, but,
the gist of it is, just from John can attest to this, is that put it anywhere, but not on my property. And that's, so, the thing is you can kick this down the road, but who gets it is gonna be the lowest lying, land. And I can see, like John said, he did talk to the property owners across, decided, yeah, he was fine with that. And then all of a sudden the brakes went on and didn't want anything to do with this. So, and that's the thing is, whether somebody, can we change where this water goes. I mean, that would have to be engineered and, well, you know, taken in the past, I mean, you know, whichever direction in here, we're gonna run into issues too. So why is all this water coming to me now? So, I mean, no matter what we do with this, I mean, obviously that photo John had, I mean, it went right across that, property there. There's no doubt that's where the water went.
We allow people to fill in ditches?
I mean, we don't. I mean, I can go like, so I mean, they dumped, I mean, I've been out there, so they dumped a full quad X. Are you aware of that? I've never seen that out there, so I guess I will, if there's a load out there, we'll take care of it.
Todd witnessed it too. As much as he wants his ditch filled in, what I actually did was last year, Todd had been blowing all this grass in his ditch, and then he went out there and built dams with grass. And when I saw that, I got ticked off. So I went out and raked all the grass out of the ditch, hauled it into my pasture. This year, I went out a year later, just out of curiosity, I raked all the grass up and hauled it out to see how much 1 year's worth of wheat was 10 big wheelbarrows full. So over the years, it'll accumulate pretty fast. But when I was out there collecting the grass, he walked down. He knew he didn't have any rights to the ditch. He walked down and made a comment about all the work I was doing, and then he commented on the load of dirt his neighbor had put in the ditch. So he saw it. It was, I wouldn't say it was a quad axle, but it was a big trailer.
So it's just a full mound? I mean,
No, he leveled it out. He leveled it out, so you kind of have to look at the ditch to see that it's kind of flat.
Whose property, where is the dirt?
If you look at the edge of Split Gamers property, it's right at the edge where the next property starts,
To the north or south?
to the south.
So it's right on that quadrant right there.
Yeah, right where Split Gamers property ends, the next.
I mean, we can go look at them.
It wouldn't have did anything to affect the drainage there, going uphill to the south anyway, so I don't know why.
There's water, when the water when it rains, it backs up onto his property, so okay. So I believe in fairness. If I have to store water, my neighbors should still store what they can too. And when this started, Split Gamers was storing some water in his ditch. The neighbor to the south was storing water in his ditch, which is why I haven't said anything up till now. Both of them are now trying to force me to store all of them. By plugging their ditch.
What's the closest crossroad out there? Just north of there. So it's just south of E Victor.
North of Rowland.
Yeah.
North of Rowland.
Yeah.
So when they started plugging it, it was like, well, now we're not being fair anymore. And what he was doing, plugging the ditch to the south, he was saying, I'm not storing any of the water, I'm not forcing it back.
But I mean, if it comes within 50 foot of the house,
Yeah, so yeah, I know that, and that was my other thought, and they ditch out. Maybe actually drain and dig it out of one cans of that, store something.
well, we have the elevations of what the original ditch was, right?
Yeah, we did shoot them again, didn't we? So we do have new elevations.
Do they compare differently?
John, do you remember? Was there?
So the west invert is a 5, east invert of that cross tube is a 4.68. So let's see here. North inverted split gamer driveway is a 574, so it's 7/10 higher than what this cross tube is. So this is coming back. These two parcels here go back to this cross tube.
So which way is the water supposed to go?
The water is supposed to go right through here somewhere. Parcel. So I think right now it's coming.
Yeah, it's gonna
Go right through that cross on both sides of the street.
What was the original elevations when the ditch was?
That's what it was. I mean, we should figure out what they were off the highway plan, but.
Trying to determine how
How much fill?
control that.
I took this off the GI, county site that showed the, contours. I couldn't print this properly, so I just wrote them in what they were. So this is D56, D58, so it actually comes uphill a little bit to the south. This snakes between these little hills and pools back here. So you can see it's pretty flat, D56, D55 and a half. This is split Gaber's backyard to the east. Here it drops down to the hole behind split Gaber's, which is D51. So that's what it looks like it did originally, right off of Ken's barn and snaked toward his house, kind of just snaked through the backyard back toward the brush lake. Didn't go fast, but it was rolling.
Okay, so Chad, you're gonna have Chad look into it.
Do you need these documents back?
Yeah, I like to keep them, but
I'm gonna get a copy of this one. Yeah, actually, I'll stop over there right after the meeting to see if he's there.
Yeah.
I'll give him the, Okay, this is your name, Oldorf? Oldorf. All righty. Remember how you? Always JJ rolling.
So the roundabout, I was out there, this morning. The paving on the roadway is complete. Today they are putting pavement markings down. And then there will be, some final restoration to be done yet. Wednesday is the set completion date. Every
Wednesday, they're opening it up.
yes, as of right now, it should be set. They were gonna try to open it last Friday, then Saturday, and then today, if they could get everything with that, there will be a little bit of dirt work here and there just to finish everything up. But it will be open this week. So like I said, pavement markings were going down this morning right away, first thing, so yeah, we should start wrapping that project up. I did get a request from the city of Neenah. They were asking if we were gonna do a ribbon cutting. I told them we didn't have anything planned. Apparently the mayor thought maybe it'd be a good idea to have potentially a post opening of the road, ribbon cutting. Just kind of highlighting the collaboration between the county and the city. I just told them I kind of leave it up to them with that. We'll kind of discuss. I mean, the biggest thing is want to get this thing open up traffic as soon as we can. So yeah, but the roundabout looks really good. They did a nice job. And yeah, looks really
It's all connected now.
Yep, Pendleton's all through, and so yeah, so it'll be nice to have this open. People have been
Wait for 4 lights to get through at Tuller and what I call it. Trying to wait for 4 lights.
Yeah.
That's how backed up it was.
You're going around through the schools, coming back?
Yeah. For a while, it's coming from Calvary with the bus.
So yeah, they have, I did hear they had, apparently while they were working in there, they had like numerous traffic accidents last week. People flying through there. I guess it was a pretty dangerous, situation, out there. Well, it was back and forth. I know the city out there, city wanted the county to be out there, so I don't know what happened, but I know from the engineer, he said it was a pretty, people are just using it, flying through there, so. But yeah, so hopefully, everything stays on track and, we'll, have that thing open this week here, so. Yes, there was a couple, little minor things with it, but nothing, nothing out of the normal, so yeah.
Action, or number 6, action, calling early tea time,
So obviously, with that project out there, we're, the contractor is struggling out there. We're keep pushing them. Obviously, the work they have before we can come in and place any 1.25 inch, do any paving is, dependent on them. Yeah. So we have, there was some work to be done in Larson, right in town there. Just because, contractors so far behind, our crews went in there. We did all the excavating. We did, majority of that work in there, so we can just keep rolling forward here. Hopefully the concrete contractor can come in and get that curb and gutter in that area in there. And then once that is done in there, we could pretty much get in there and start, our paving, that section. Only other thing is going to be is the tie-in, to Pioneer Road, the new County Road T. With that, the contractor assured us that they're going to have a second crew being mobilized in to help them out. So we're pushing them as much as we can.
Yeah, I might interrupt. You're referring to Pioneer Road, not Double I.
Right, the double I section's done. Yep, so the only thing we have to do there will be our top surface paving.
Okay.
So that is bindered in, excavation's all done. There's a little bit of tweaking on some driveways, in there.
What point are we at on Pioneer Road then?
So Pioneer Road,
Excavated.
so they are excavating on the north end, coming up to Double I. They started on the south end, and they're roughly about 1,000 feet. And in that section in there, it's a big hollow. That section, there's about a 5-foot cut and a 4-foot fill. So it's about a 9-foot elevation change in there. So there's a lot of excavation in there, material being added. Obviously this time of year, you don't get a lot of, nothing dries out really good now. So that was the big push, is to keep moving forward, because we're limited on days now. I mean, the dampness that we get in the morning and at the night, you don't get material to dry out anymore. So hopefully, I think this weekend, the rain we were supposed to get, I think we dodged a little bit of bullet there where we didn't get as much as we thought, which is good. Sounds like the rest of the week here should be some good weather. So hopefully, they keep moving forward with that. So once they get that tied in there, we're going to come back in and get our stone work done and bring that up to grade. So, I mean, obviously our big thing is they have ditching and restoration work. I mean, we just want to make sure we get that roadway backfilled and then get the asphalt down, get the shoulders on. So then they can, afterwards they can do restoration behind us. So that's kind of where we're at.
Since you guys had to go in and do some of Radke's work, is it going to come off into the bill
Yep.
or?
Yep. So they don't get paid for any of that. So we get paid for doing that work.
Do you think they'll be fined on or whatever, taken away from that?
If they don't, there is penalties with completion dates. So that's obviously, and I'm not, it's like roughly $750 a day, I believe, penalty. Those are monetary fines for not being complete.
So how many days you guys work that?
Well, week, 2 weeks, week and a half, roughly.
Would have been $750 a day. They would have gotten in charge.
Yeah, and we would have been sitting with the open road and so, yeah, so there was, I mean, one thing too was under that section of road right in, town by Tippler Insurance and, the, restaurant there, Century Elm, there was concrete under that roadway. So in order to get that concrete elevation set in there, we milled off existing asphalt. We thought we had enough elevation in there, which we didn't, so we removed more asphalt. Even with the concrete in there, we were about 7/10 shy of where we needed to be for base. So we had to remove that concrete that was in there. It's just part of that. We really didn't know till we opened it up. So it was one of those kind of, but there were sections, the concrete, yeah, it was 9-10 inches. Then there was some that it was just completely deteriorated, just a gravel. There was some utility work that was done in there, which removed a significant amount of material of concrete, which was good. The backfill they had a granular backfill, so which is good. Saved us removing the concrete and removing that bad base. So contractor did us some of the utilities when they were done. So yeah. Well, they asked for a 2-week extension. You know, based upon weather days and that in there. End of October was our target in there. There's the thing is that, like, you know, based up there with their extensions that they requested, there's inefficiencies that, you know, that they could have utilized different methods to expedite their excavation, things like that. I don't think we should be giving them days because of should be on them. Yeah, just, I mean, means and methods. We can't dictate any means or methods when they do their contracts. It's up to them. They hired, you know, the engineers. You can make suggestions, but you know, there was just some deficiencies that you know, pushed them back, which could have been alleviated. So yeah, I mean, they told us right from the beginning they'd have 2 crews in there. They've been running with a single crew, very skeleton crew. So yeah, so we're to that point where as long as we can now meet this connection, get this connected up, we get some good weather and we get our stone down, will be our what we're looking for. So
those mistakes and things they did.
So we have,
No,
so we have an engineer that's doing our observation. So they're out there, you know, round the clock with the crew. So everything gets documented through that engineering firm.
so when you're all done and dollars and cents comes out, now this happens, that somebody keeps their own, that thing comes out right.
Yep.
You know, they can't keep doing that. They
Right.
gotta-
I mean, there was some poor soils out there, no doubt. So where we called for 1 foot of excavation of EBS, you know, they may have ran into a 2-foot or a 3-foot cut, which would have taken more time, no doubt with it. So yeah, I mean, the big thing out there was poor soils. When they built those roads, they just went out, scraped everything for the ditches, put it in the middle of the road, built it up and paved over it. So, unfortunately, like these projects like this, I mean, you're going to run into those poor soils. So, and then,
Are we allowing them to back up the project without penalty?
no, there's fines if they don't complete it on time. So there's so many weather dates built in. Same thing, like I said, if there's EBS, you know, outside of the project, we'll allow so many days for that. So there is items in there that, you know, we do look at. So yeah.
I think I would make. A little bit. I think it's how. Get a little bit.
low bid and only bid. So, yeah.
All about the places, different things going on.
So what I had, so what I have here is, so for, obviously for the jurisdictional transfer, so our section of County Road T from Double I coming through Larson and then back out to Pioneer Road to T. Obviously, Town of Clayton will take that over. That'll become their road. And then we'll take over Pioneer Road from Double I down to East Grandview T there. So obviously I put together the agenda reports, obviously Highway Committee, PNF, and then County Board. So I put together the packet. You guys can kind of go through here. There was an agreement between Winnebago County and the Clayton, kind of spelling out the costs with the project in there, 50% cost share, and kind of with that, I included the jurisdictional transfer letter to the DOT that's required, the maps with that. So I made a copy for everybody. You can kind of look through that and kind of give you a heads up what's coming here at
I have a question if I might.
Sure.
The intersection at Pioneer Road and T, obviously there's two of them. One is a curve. And the other is assume we're eliminating one of those.
yes, so that big curve will come out.
Okay,
There's gonna be
it's just gonna have a 90-degree intersection.
so that one section, that little piece of East Grandview that's in there, it'll continue right in there, and then that big curve will get excavated right out.
And a stop sign at the end of Grandview, on the, you say? Yeah, okay.
So, in that packet, I included, our draft, resolution for the county board. Mary Ann Miller was kind enough at the last minute here to, this would be, the updated resolution from Mary Ann that just came over. So this is what the resolutional tail that'll come to the county board.
And when do you expect that?
October, our October meeting, yeah. So yeah, so then basically today, you know, we're just looking for highway committee approval to move forward with this jurisdictional transfer.
I will so move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Even though everything's not done on it yet?
Correct. So what'll happen is, so the highway will have to have their resolution passed. And then it'll go back, and then Clayton will have to pass their resolution. Then that letter that is attached in there to the DOT, for Nick Weber. So this will all be included with this to the DOT. So the resolution from Clayton, Winnebago County will all be, the maps will be all included to the, with this. Once this gets, and what I'm looking for, I put in there, November 30th to be the effective date. Just to give us time that, I mean, the project should be completed at that point. All the resolutions should be approved. We'll give enough time to get this all done. Then once it goes to the DOT, they'll go through the formal process of transferring those then. So.
So are they installing the signs? Right away?
Yes. Yep, everything will be all new signs. If you've traveled, I'm sure you've traveled that road, Don, you know how it used to be, like that.
Not there all the time.
Yeah, you'll, once you see it, you'll be impressed with the way it is now. So all those hills, that are in there are coming out, so be a nice, looks nice out there so far where we're at, so.
Favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried. Number 7, discussion coming from highway ways.
So that was for the part of capital projects, this year,
Yep, Phil South Park in Neenah, where the concrete school, yep, wherever that concrete ends there. And then back towards Double G, where they just finished that project 2 years ago. So we're looking to start that next Wednesday, or actually this week, Wednesday, I'm sorry, the 28th. So this Wednesday, we will, the mill will be here to mill that off. So, we'll get that milled off and then we'll jump in right behind it and pave that in up there.
So
So,
you're gonna be open the whole time?
yes, yep, we open the traffic, we'll flag, it's flagging operations through there, so. So yeah, so we look forward to,
Where's that stretch? That up? Maybe a mile? Probably not.
no, oh yeah, I think it's almost 2 miles.
What is it?
Is it to G or GG?
So from Double G, past G, and then basically G is just before you.
Well,
go
I'm
to
sorry,
Neenah.
I was thinking of
Just thinking of G.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I was thinking
So
of G.
South Park Ave, pretty much coming up to that South Park Ave. So,
Oh, yeah, this is what we had talked about. I had all those questions. How come they didn't finish it?
yeah,
What did G and G and quit? So everybody on the other side is all worked up about, well, when the hell are they gonna do mine? So now we're gonna.
So this- yep, so that section of road that we're paving here, so.
Are we gonna roll through that or?
No, it's gonna, I mean, we've already widened it out. So it'll be put back in, existing. But there's no funding available right now for this section of road because, you know, you're, rural coming into the urban section in there. So, the last highway commissioner did look at funding, but there was really no funding available for a reconstruction that would fit that section of road. And obviously the condition of the road, we just couldn't wait. It's, yeah, I mean, so for right now, it'll get us 10 years, you know, will get us 10 years. And then by that time, hoping something does open up as far as then at that point, 10 years from now, they can start that process of, a reconstruct or, you know, with that in there. So
I'm gonna be asked a question.
this paving, a couple days to mill that off. No, a couple weeks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll mill that off and then once we start paving, we'll come right back in behind them. So, we'll get the binder down and then surface it.
We on that machine.
The mill? No, northeast.
You thought about buying your own?
Well, yep, they're very expensive, high maintenance. Yeah, it's one of those two is that, you know, a machine like that, or there has been counties that had them and we used, I think Wapaka had one and then Act 10 kind of got rid of that whole thing. I know, Fond du Lac just bought a small, like a 5-foot mill for doing some of their just, you know, smaller work. But yeah, it's a very high maintenance piece of equipment. So, like right now, I mean, Northeast has been really good with us as far as, scheduling, you know, piece of equipment like that. Beginning of the year, it seems like they didn't have a whole lot of work and now all of a sudden the end of the year, it's a big push. Everybody wants something done quick, last and, but they've been, you know, really good with scheduling. We haven't had any issues whenever we needed the machine. They were right there. So yeah. Yeah, I would imagine a couple weeks here. Like I said, Wednesday, they'll come in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, get that milled out and we start paving that in next week. I mean, a couple weeks total, I would say. You know, we have some shouldering to do, a little bit of shouldering in there. So yeah. They purchase them from us. So where they recycle. So what happens is they'll purchase this back for, you know, so many dollars a ton. But then what happens is that oil, there's still oil in that recycling. So what comes back is they're putting less oil into that material, new asphalt. So there's you know, pluses for everybody. You know, we get we get some money back. Which is kind of good because years ago we did, if we could get rid of it, drop it off wherever you could. Then it turned into how come Ralph got 10 loads and how come you got, only 3 loads?
And Bernie got 5 votes.
Yeah. So yeah, it turned into it, but at least now we're getting some money back for it for the recycling. So.
True definition of recycling, really.
Right.
Number 8, discussion, proposed 2023 equipment budget.
Another handout for you. Equipment. It's been, we'll get into more of this here. This is
2 years. Dump truck.
well, so yeah, unfortunately, yeah, at least we got one. This is the breakdown of what we proposed to the county executive, this year for equipment needs. So the air compressor, we have 1 air compressor on the list. The 2 of our air compressors we have, the oldest one we have is a 2001. It's tired. We're right now, we don't even get a shift of use out of it. It breaks down every time it goes out. So we're to the point now where I think overnights we were just renting one just to get us through. So yeah, the compressor is one that we got to get replaced. So next on there we had a power broom. What that is our gross broom. It's a four-wheel broom, hydrostatic drive. Same thing with that piece of equipment's a 2001. The hours, we have 2 of them. The spring and the fall, they're out sweeping intersections. They're on our seal coats. If we don't vacuum up, we're sweeping them off. Our shouldering crews, they're out. Same thing. It's just to the point now where it's wore out. It's just, we gotta.
Here's equipment that's 20 years old or better.
Pretty much right down the line. Yeah, yes.
And this was not included in the budget, right? You wanted this as a separate?
Well, this is included in our budget. So yeah, we got a whole new discussion. Yeah, there's gonna be a whole nother thing as we go on here, but then the trailers, we have single axle trailers and tandem axles. So we have 2 single axle trailers we want to get and 2 tandem axles. Our tandem axle trailers haul our skid steers. Those trailers, we had our safety training. We had a consultant come in, do a load securement. And yeah, our trailers, I think basically he just said they shouldn't be on the road. So we definitely, I mean, our trailers
Shouldn't be on the road.
they're just in that bad of shape.
Like, how can they be in that bad of shape? Don't you guys got welders, you got electricians, electrical things? I guess I don't understand that, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I
Some township will buy them and use them for 150 years.
well, if they want them, they can make them a good deal. I mean, some of them, a lot of, I mean, 2 is, they're right at weight capacity for the skid steers. 20,000 trailers, 20,000 pound trailers, the 2 tandems, yes. Like I said, right now, the 2 we have, they're right at maximum weight. So traveling down the road, I mean, it's a little different if you have some give, if it's a 10 ton or a 10-ton piece of equipment on a 20-ton trailer. But you've got a skid steer that's maxed out on that trailer. And
What are you getting them for 20 grand? It seems kind of low to me.
we looked there's a manufacturer, we got quotes over, I think it's either in Manitowoc or Sheboygan County. There's a vendor over there that we got prices from. Yeah. So, and then after the 2 trailer roller, Door County. So Door County has a pneumatic roller, rubber tire roller, very similar to our roller right now we have. Obviously, we are seal coating. We travel all over the northeast region seal coating. We've been up to Washington Island, took the ferry over to Washington Island, did seal coating on the island up there. Door County has a rubber tire roller. It's a 2018. It's got about 400, just over 400 hours. We've put almost all the hours on that machine. Once we start seal coating in the year, we get that machine from them and it travels all over with us when we go. They're looking to get rid of it just because they don't use it. Obviously, because we put all the hours on it. Fat Ash, the highway commissioner, called me and said, "Hey, are you interested in it?" The price, they want $85,000 for it. Fabic, said they would ask at a minimum $90,000 for it, if they had it. So, price wise, we're getting a really good deal on it. We know all the hours were put on by our staff, so we know what we have in that piece of equipment. Same thing, our old roller's a 2000. So, to go out and try to buy a brand new one, and spend, another 50, 60,000. I think this is a perfect, purchase for our department, I think, for the cost. And then try to, find one out there, and the cost savings. I think it's a perfect piece of equipment for us.
Is this the one that's got the tires offset?
Yep. And they steer.
Using it as opposed to a steel drum roller.
So we don't fracture the stone. So when you're seal coating, you want that angular stone. So when the oil comes up and it grabs onto it, so a steel drum will fracture all those and just make a powder out of it. So that's what you want. You actually want that oil to come up and grab that aggregate. So that's why the rubber tire just needs that together and doesn't fracture that. So. No, I mean, we do use these asphalt paving. We will use a rubber tire for compaction on there. So gives us another option to have another rubber tire out on projects. So, I mean, we use it for shouldering. When we go shoulder, we'll run it. No, I don't. Yeah, they're air. Yep, they're pneumatic tires. I know we've had a flat here and there, but I don't recall ever replacing those tires. I mean, they're a heavy, heavy tire that's on those. So, like I said, for the price and the cost savings and knowing the piece of equipment, I think it's makes perfect sense to jump on this. He did have other counties that were interested with, if we don't want it, it's going to another county right local here. So I think it's like he said, he goes, I just assume you guys have put all the hours on it. Assume offer it to you guys first. So, so I did put that in for that. We did also put in 2 triaxles with the snow equipment on there. So we've got 2 of those in there for this year. A tar kettle. Our tar kettle, our old one's a 2007. So it's getting some years in the hours. The thing is the runtime on those kettles. If we're working like this morning, if that kettle goes out by 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, that's fired up to start heating up. That machine doesn't shut off till the end of the day when they suck the oil back through. So they get a lot of hours on them. Just like anything, a pump that's, we're working around that heat and then pushing that rubber through it. There's a lot of maintenance with those. And over the years, we've got our hours out of that old kettle. So it's time to starting to see the repairs build up on that too. The mower would be replace we mow our facility here, our grass out here, and that is the one that we use out on the state for cutting the islands. So that is we're looking at a front mower with a rear discharge because we can't discharge out into the highway, metal and anything flying out. So the rear discharge on there to eliminate that. Well, I mean, we have a John Deere now. When we put it out for bid, we'll see what comes back. I mean, you know, obviously Toro and yeah, there's many manufacturers. The only thing is that one thing we gotta look at is like, you know, cause you're going up the curbs. So you kind of gotta watch like the zero turns and that just don't work. You know, either have to have ramps and to get up on the curbs. So, yeah. Yep. So same thing. I mean, it's kind of it's pretty specific to what type we need in order to get up on those curbs. And yeah, I think it's a 72 inch cut on our right now. So yeah. And then, obviously then our last one, the big, our grade all,
Regular grade all?
yes. Yes. So, we did get rid of one of our grade alls and we went to a rubber tired excavator. You know, that like this weekend we had some windstorms that came through south of town. We had to call crews out, some big oaks that went down, and our grade all was in Winchester from last week. They worked late and they left it up there. So we had to take that rubber tire out. You know, it's slow. It's a slow moving piece to get those out there. The grade all to get around the county, it's still, I think, you know, I think, you know, obviously where we're at, I think, with the rubber tired excavator and one grade all is going to be where we're at. I mean, responding to,
Well, we currently have both, right? Yeah, grade all and the rubber tire excavator. So we're gonna have two grade alls?
no, so this one will be replaced. Our grade, yeah, it's, yeah, it's a 2000, our old one's a 2011. You know, a lot of hours on them. So, yep, this would be replacing our old one. It's just, okay, good. I mean, it's yeah,
Grade all.
yep. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So when you do, I mean, you look at that and you could say, hey, you potentially could buy 2 rubber tire excavators. But when you look at servicing, or, you know, when you go out in response times, things like that, I think it's you know, it's well worth, you know, getting a new one out here. So,
These are not.
no, this is just kind of, yep, this is what we put in for this year. You know, with that, another thing too, burden of bad news. We did get some, bad news as far as, give you this too. We ordered through 3 Freightliners this last year. Here's the email. You can see I kind of highlighted, on there. Freightliner notified us they'll not be building those Detroit Freightliners. So they returned the orders to Truck Country. So 3 trucks we had on order are no longer on.
We're talking
Triaxles, yes, with plow equipment.
through, quality
Truck Country. So these were, Truck Country could only, Quality could only get us like 1 or 2 trucks. But Freightliner came in to get us 3. Yeah, now they backed out. So these 3 trucks are no longer, we did rebid them last week. So they're back out for bid. When it rains, it pours. I don't know what else to say. Trust me, when I got that email, I was,
because you're trying to buy these trucks now, it takes 2 years for delivery assumption. So
It used to take 2 years.
get them way ahead of time, right?
Then last week, one of our tracks was cracked frame, another one down. Remember last year we had that truck went down the crack frame? Another one's parked out back, 44. It's an international crack.
Brand new one. Quality. Where does this put us
Yeah, spot. Not good, not good at all. You know, obviously we got 199 truck with the blown motor, which another thing, they came back when that motor blew, had a full load of asphalt in the back of it, locked up, it sheared all the bolts on the torque converter. There's 12 of them, 3/8 bolts, sheared those right off. Now we gotta look at, they're gonna dyno the transmission, make sure the transmission's still good. Hopefully it sheared those bolts off and the transmission's still good. Otherwise, I don't know, $12,000 for a new transmission, on top of the 50,000 for a new motor. So yeah, so last week, yep, 44 in international. Yeah, it's got a cracked frame. So
we're down 2 trucks from a fleet of,
while we're down, I mean, really with the blown motor, 2 cracked frames, 3 trucks. The 3 we were supposed to get, we don't have, we're not getting. Oh, total, I must have, I don't know. Somewhere like 40. In Oshkosh, that's gone. They junked it. So that's gone.
so let's throw a number up there. You got 12 trucks and you're down 3, so you're down.
We have more than 12 trucks. I'm just trying to think. I mean, our state trucks, I mean, we might have 30 trucks. So yeah. Well, if you don't have employees to drive them, it doesn't really matter at that point. Which, you know, is another topic that we'll get into later here. I mean,
Pray for no snow.
yeah, like I said, it's doesn't put me in a good spot, not at all. I was ready to, yeah, when I got those 3, I mean, I was banking on these 3.
Yeah, there's really no explanation why either, right?
Well, you and the executive would be in the same position because if people can't get to work because the roads aren't broke, you're both gonna be gone.
Yeah. September 20th, 2023, that's when I'm due. I know the date, got it right. So, yeah, so, you know, is this out of my hands?
They don't give you no explanation.
I mean, you know, yeah, I wish, somebody else was here to take the lead, but. Well, what they're doing is the new models are coming out. So this would have been, these Detroits would have been an older model. They're retooling and going to this new style. So they're saying is, hey, those 3 trucks, we're not gonna get you, but they're not even giving us an option to the new trucks that are being produced. They're not even giving us saying, hey, we're taking these away, but we're gonna replace them with 3 new models. We're not even getting that. No.
Imagine,
Right.
10 years ago, it was the diesel problem. What diesel did you want?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, when it rains, it pours. We put them out, whoever, I don't really care as long as somebody bids it. I don't care if it's a Freightliner or a Western Star or International. I just want trucks. So at this point, you're at the mercy of, of these, so.
Number 8, general operations. I would like to hear general operations.
Sure.
The Oshkosh bridge coming.
Oh, it's on the news?
I heard it, that's why I was good.
Yeah. So, the last week, Monday, the DOT, we met with the DOT, our bridge crew, our bridge engineer, our bridge crew, and several other vendors to prepare for today. So we were setting up our game plan. We were getting everything ready. We went down, kind of had our plan, our backup plan. So yeah, DOT was gonna be down there this morning to pick it up. We were gonna get it on the barge, set it. Contractors were coming in to do alignments. And then they got word, said, well, try to find out where to make sure they can pick it up today. And then they got word it wasn't done. So, supply chain issues, so they're looking at it in November, second week in November, I believe it's what the DOT put out there. So yeah. So with no gearbox, yeah, we can't put nothing in, so that's where they're at.
Why can't they take it over to Wisconsin Ordnance Works and have them make them? They have a heat treat, they have everything. Lloyd Felber used to do that, made all the gears for the tanks, the wheels.
I mean, that's the structural engineers, that's up to them and the DOT. I mean, we're just kind of bridges in our county and that's up to their call.
Who are we talking about? Who's me?
Effing out of Milwaukee. They're, I mean, yeah. Yep. They pretty much, any of these gearboxes, they make everything
I
around.
think that's, Hunter Tire Rock. I think that's one of the,
Yeah, they're well known. I mean, they're worldwide and, they made this gearbox.
They probably know labor issues just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, what they come back with and tell the DOT, I guess that's between them, but, so yeah, so.
How the bridge just stays open and,
So as of right now, we're kind of going off of that November timeframe that it will be ready. Hopefully the weather, I mean, obviously for us, make sure the river doesn't freeze up so we can get the barge in and that. So that's where we're gonna work with the DOT is that if, who could we get, that has a barge if our boat can't get in, can we get somebody with a barge for backup? Yeah. So yeah, so there's a lot involved with this. I mean, and then, it's all the engineers, so it's up to them.
can you let the bridge down and make it functional?
Oh, so right now, all that gear is out of that. So it's like having a car with no transmission. It's down, but there's nothing to complete that shaft in there. Cause there's, gears on both sides to rock that vascular sections up. There's no gearbox in there. So they would have to put something in there to make that connection of that shaft.
How did the city respond?
It is what it is. I mean, there's not a lot of option. I'm sure they're not happy. But if the vendor says it's not ready, it's not ready. I mean, it's kind of like these trucks. I'm not real happy to hear this, but we're not making them. But, so yeah.
So you have that bridge in to do.
So what we did is we took full opportunity of this now. So we cross-trained the bridge tenders on all the bridges now. So no matter what bridge tender you have can go to any bridge and operate, whether it's remote, local, they're all cross-trained now. So moving forward, if somebody needs off or whatever, we can put any bridge tender where we didn't have that opportunity before.
I thought they were all operated from Stevens Point.
That was the railroad.
Just the railroad.
Yeah. Yep. Otherwise, we remotely open from Wisconsin Street. So that will be our hub to open up the bridges.
How much higher would we have to go if we can raise the level of the bridge?
I mean, depending on same thing with Winnebago, how big of a sailboat. I guess one thing I learned from not a sailor, but how big your mast is, then you have to have something underneath it to, so obviously it goes by depth of water out there, kind of determine the height of that. Radke swud bars were a big influence that they could get under with those. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously at that point, they'll have to, determine what's the biggest sailboats. Or I'm sure the Coast Guard will have a big say in that, so. And then obviously, and then kind of brings me into with employees too. So we were able to get one mechanic. He'll be starting next Monday, which is great. We've lost 2 operators to solid waste. We lost 2 to Winnebago County. One will be announced and he'll be going to Fond du Lac County next.
Why do they hear so much?
A lot of it
Why do they
comes.
wanna get on board? They go,
Well, I mean, a lot of it comes down to wages. They're getting paid more. Some of them live close to, like, one of them actually lived in Wapaka. So for him, the less fuel.
Yes.
Yep. The one that's gonna be going to Fond du Lac, he lives on the south end of the county. Same thing, Fond du Lac pays more, and then less travel for him. So I mean, that's the name of the game now is that it's to retain a lot of the counties now. We're interviewing people that are interviewing for us and Outagamie County. They're paying more, so they're pulling right away. We're not getting even a chance at them. A lot of them just opportunity to operate. The 2 that went over there want to be operators. They can go over there. Don't have to plow snow. Being on call in the winter was a big one. And yeah,
like being semi-retired.
It's not money, no.
no, not for those guys. If anything, when it comes down to that, they get one Saturday a month, they have to be on call to work over there. So yeah, it's just, they wanted to operate. What's that?
Nights over there.
No. So yeah, we, and I believe one other one now, I think we're gonna be losing someone to facilities. I just kind of heard that one. So, that one doesn't like being on the highways, too dangerous. Doesn't like working nights. So yeah, so we got a lot to work on here.
It's nothing to do with outside with bosses and stuff like that. But there's another department that is losing a lot of them. It's gonna cause us a real headache. And it's because of the staff, it isn't because of wages. They're gonna.
That's what I was looking at.
One of them is lose $10,000 by going to another spot.
Right.
It's because of the staff.
Sure. I guess I haven't heard anything. Obviously, I take this personally. I don't want to see anybody leave. I know a lot of fingers have been pointed at me that, I'm the guy that won't pay people. When I figure that out, I wish I could, everybody tells me it's right in front of me, just do it. I'm failing to find that, so anybody has any ideas how that works, willing to listen. Like I said, I get cut off at the knees with these guys, and I'm doing my best. So like I said, I know next September, whether it's the end for me, but doing the best I can.
I'm pointing fingers at you, I just said, no, another place that we are losing. And some of it has to do with staff. It's not you, I'm just wondering if something else is being carried out to us.
I've heard absolutely nothing negative.
What do you mean next September? What is that all?
Well, that's when my appointment's done. It's a 2-year appointment, so
Or they not retirement, the end of your retirement?
the end of my appointment. So yeah, so they changed that this year. So when I got appointed, so yeah, it's only a 2-year appointment now.
Oh, that deal. Yeah,
I mean, that's.
But this is all part of, I mean,
You
it's,
just have to say next, or whatever his name is, that assistant.
don't worry, your committee will take care of that.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, when it rains, it pours. So,
I have something, if I might, I have another request for signage on County Road GG. This is the third one. I don't know what you've done on the other two.
Okay.
I'll give you. That's Crosscut. They run a horse stable over there on GG, just west of the overpass on 41 there, and they need some signage. They got people, going through there at high rates of speed, beeping horns, and they've got people out there riding the horses. So now we all know that'll get the horses to rear up, and then get you fall off. They got issues, so we need some kind of safety signs to tell them to slow down.
That's still owned by Grunskis?
Yeah. Oh, Sherry and her husband, yeah. They got a pretty good business going on, right? Stable, pretty full of horses.
You get all your other signs up that you demand for?
No, I didn't hear nothing. Colleen, he wants some farm signs up over there. Just by the river. Farm, you would have farm crossing signs or tractors present, whatever you guys can work out. Give them a call.
I know Counter Nina wants some of my. It's called, Animal Crossing, or Animal Crossing, I can't find anything. DOT.
Usually get farm tracks.
Well, this one's for the ducks by their pond. Well, the wildlife crossing, I'm sorry.
Well, where's that at on
By where they put that detention pond.
In the parking lot.
Yeah.
Tell them to keep
I
off.
was gonna put a
Landmines.
sign out here, careful slippery sidewalk. And then I wanted some deer crossing signs at my place. I don't know if you can get them or not.
They don't do those anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't recommend to put them out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll have to make my own sign. Have people come over, you would not believe, GG needs some enforcement. They come over that hill heading west towards Winnebago. And of course, it swoops down by my place, and that's where a lot of deer cross because of the pine trees and everything. They gotta be pushing 75, 80 miles. Just a whistle. Woof. Of course, I witnessed the same thing on Highway 41. I'm doing 76 and everybody else is doing 87.
Should work out there.
I don't think I'd want to. I'd be really concerned about.
Come out with us once. Yeah, it's not fun. All you have is a plastic barrel to protect you from that. Yeah, trust me, I know. Just one other thing too with operations that, as far as like parking lots, I've been talking about Mike Elder, with the highway department not doing our parking lots anymore. So that's a discussion I'll have with Mike. Apparently they did put it out for bid. So being short staffed, it might be an option that we're, in order to take those people and keep them on the roads.
Oh, I thought we had an agreement to do that. I guess I'm behind.
It's past the county board that, well, you guys are supposed to go on the parking lots, correct?
Right. So,
What's happening with my calendar?
well, I mean, I guess, I don't know where it all stemmed from or whatever, but that was kind of brought to my attention. So whether that's how it's going to come out, but just to let you know. Well, Mike Elder just notified me that it was out for bid.
Oh, instead of getting us to do the work, you're gonna bid it.
Yes.
That's just more cost.
I don't know what they. Cause I know he was short-staffed too about doing sidewalks too. So it was all kind of part wrapped into one here, so.
I might be wrong, but I think they lost the best employed lady that we ever had.
Vicky?
I think she just retired. I mean, she was a working man, oh man, you'd see her out there at the intersection just with shoveling the hole in there.
So yeah, so I guess that's kind of enough doom and gloom from me. I wish I had better news for you guys, but
I have one question. Just because I'm new at it. The budget, you kind of talked about, we don't talk about budget for the highway department, or you already have done that. How do you come out of that?
so basically it was no increase from last year. So we're just carrying over from last year. So
Same one.
yeah, yep. So then any capital projects, those will be coming up next, so those will be separate. So any of the road projects or anything that we have coming up will be separate, so.
Same thing like this equipment, it's kind of like what I do.
Yeah,
Vans and cars and other stuff, we talk about replacing.
Well, you actually included that budget. You're talking about, they're gonna be a separate pot of money, which is the net new construction funds. That's normally about $700,000 a year. That's the pot of money they're talking about.
yeah.
But I'm finding what may be on it already. There's too many requests.
Oh, for the ARPA, is that the ARPA or, oh, okay, oh,
Net new construction.
okay.
Every time something came up like this, why don't we take it out of ARPA? Everybody was grabbing.
Right.
ARPA.
Yeah, well,
How are you gonna do that?
No, out of the head boss, yes, that's one of the things he's got in there.
Oh, okay.
We have any guests too?
There was. Yeah, one. So that's all I had.
Yeah, I moved to adjourn.
the next meeting date, I'll second the motion.
Over what?
I'll run over and chat with, Chad a little bit.
Then motion to adjourn. Did you adjourn?
You can vote on it.
All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Carried.
Everybody come out. Never heard it.
No, somebody did.